Hello, I'm the Dark Master, and welcome back to the Kirby Right Back at Ya Retrospective. And in today's episode, we shall be covering episode 24, Ninja Binge, or as it's known in the Japanese original, Visiting Ninja Benecage. This episode was released in Japan on March 16th, 2002, as the 24th episode, while in the United States it was released on November 23rd, 2002, as the 22nd episode. As a fan of Ninjago, it will be interesting to see how this anime handles the ninja concept. Is it like that show in that it does exaggerate a bit, but it's still respectful? Or will it be some Naruto level garbage? Let us start with the plot. The episode opens to an outside shot of the castle as the camera pans downwards onto Town, where we see a mysterious little ninja looking in various windows searching for something, and he eventually reaches Kiryo's museum, where we see the old professor is sleeping in his bed. The mysterious ninja enters the museum and looks through every door and areas of the museum. He eventually opens a cabinet and sees what he is looking for: a mysterious ninja scroll. The ninja goes to grab it, but it's booby trapped. As the ninja attempts to grab the scroll, a complex Rube Goldberg machine sets off a bunch of clocks and pulls them off the bedside table, awakening Curio, setting it off, and waking the elderly man. Here we see the first script change of the episode. In the Japanese original, when Professor Curio turns on his lights to check up on the break-in, he shouts, "Who's there?" The English dub cuts this line, and it isn't really missed. But both versions are fine. The mysterious ninja tries to escape, but misses his jump and hits his head, dropping the scroll. After the intro, we see that a large crowd has gathered outside Professor Curio's museum, all having heard of the break-in. Officer Bookums asks the professor about the break-in, asking if they really broke in to steal a fancy paper towel holder, to which Curio confirms, but corrects him that it's not a paper towel holder. Tuff grabs the scroll and then asks what it is, and Kirby, being Kirby, eats the scroll before Chief Bookums shoves his hand in and grabs the scroll back, lambasting the baby for eating evidence. While Professor Curio explains it's an ancient scroll that holds forbidden secrets of the ninja and unravels it so that the others can see. Tiff points out that the text is written in a different language than the ancient capiglyphics talked about in previous episode, called Poyo Mangi in the Japanese original. I actually like the fact that they went to the effort to make up a completely different font for this one scroll. It's kind of that little detail that Nintendo loves to put into their work, for the most part. Curio says that the text is different because it comes from the land of the ninja, while Tough asks what the red triangles are, to which Curio says he's uncertain, but he explains the ninja used scrolls like these to pass down knowledge from generation to generation. Curio then hyper exaggerates ninja, like saying they could run as fast as the wind, jump over buildings, and turn invisible. In the Japanese original, he even says that they could walk on water. Dude, for an archaeologist, you really do suck in explaining historical events. These are not Superman or the Predator or Jesus. Ninja were just highly trained assassins, nothing more really. They weren't magical or anything. Then again, this is Kirby, so I guess a little exaggeration is fine. Please, these aren't exactly humans anyway. Tough, hearing all that cool information, says he should be a ninja, and Kirby, being Kirby, blindly agrees. We then cut to King Dedede and Escargoon riding their tank into Cappytown. King Dedede says he heard something is occurring in Cappytown that is weird. What Escargoon informs him is changed between versions. In the Japanese original, he says that they all are hooked on something strange, while in the English dub, he says the Cappies have all disappeared. In either case, kind of spoopy. The two enter Cappytown, and the streets are empty. The pair are confused before being assaulted by numerous fake shurikens as a bunch of children dressed in ninja robes run past them, hoping not to be seen. Annoyed at all the cosplaying children, Dee and Escargoon try to teach them a lesson. However, one of the kids throws Tetsubishiki, and the bumbling duo step on the painful spikes as the children laugh at their misery. We see even the mayor and elderly Melman the mailman are dressed up as ninja and laugh at the king's suffering. An interesting detail is that in the Japanese original, all those wearing the ninja outfits have their voices slightly muffled. This sound effect was removed, and their voices can be heard clearly in the English dub. Kind of one of those small details you can't help but notice once it's pointed out, and it's a real shame that it was removed because it just seems like an easy thing to do. Escargoon asks if the townsfolk have lost their minds, while Bookums runs in and explains the whole ninja situation. While the pair are still confused at the whole affair, we then cut to Gengu, who, being the businessman he is capitalizing on the ninja craze. In the Japanese original, he refers to these items properly, calling them ninja suits, shurikens, and scrolls. In the English dub, he refers to the ninja suits as ninja apparel and the scrolls as imitation scrolls. We also see that he has boomerangs for some reason, scythes, and katanas for sale. Bokums is seen talking to Escargoon, explaining that they don't know who the thief was, while Dedede plays a prank on Gengu, pretending to be some helpless madame. Escargoon bemoans the kings, seeming to also get into the ninja craze, but then the king convinces him with a devious plan as the pair ride off, driving past Tough and Kirby, both dressed in ninja garb. And the dastardly duo arrive at Curio's museum. They call for Curio, who is also dressed like a ninja, and guests the pair with some oddly nice hootenanny. Escargoon asks the old man about the robbery. While Curio hesitates at first, he relents with ninja honor and shows the pair the mysterious ancient ninja scroll. But they are being secretly watched by a third party, the very ninja who attempted to steal the scroll earlier. We shall cover him later when he's properly introduced. Tough, Kirby, and the other kids also watch. Curio takes the scroll out, and under the king's planning, Escragoon distracts the professor so that the king can get his grubby hands on the scroll. This distraction's changed between the versions. In the Japanese original, Escragoon asks Curio about the jar behind him, to which the professor reveals that it is from an ancient civilization, to which Escragoon says he is appreciative of the newfound knowledge. In the English dub, this was completely changed to asking if he heard the ice cream man. Surprisingly, there is an ice cream man, but Curio's confusion as to why he didn't hear his bell distracts him long enough. In either case, this distraction buys Dedede enough time to swap the real ninja scroll for the fake one he took from Gengu's store. The mysterious maroon ninja watches this trickery, as does Tough and the kids, who had been following the king to Curio's shop. Didi obfuscates by saying Curio is showing off fake scrolls. Curio is deeply concerned, while Escargoon threatens to lock him up. The mysterious ninja falls down, but he runs out of sight before anyone can notice. We then cut to Dedede laughing about the trickery they did, and he decides to begin his ninja training. We then cut to Castle Dedede. In the Japanese original, there is a scene of Tiff taking a short stroll across the castle's courtyard until three shurikens fly past her, and she angrily turns around to see where they're coming from. In the English dub, this scene was removed and it just cuts to her reaction as the scene with context has been removed. Kinda odd, to be honest. After the two pop up beside Tiff with a flash/smoke bomb, there are a few other cutscenes from the Japanese original. We see King Dedede throwing shurikens at Escargoon, who shifts his body to evade them before proceeding to disappear in a cloud of smoke. And Escargoon again being attacked by King Dedede from a higher spot, all the while telling Escargoon to prepare himself. In the English dub, this entire entertaining thing was cut in favor of showing Tiff's immediate response to the ninja antics. Back to the plot. Tiff wonders why everyone is so into ninja as they're all gone. But then Meta Knight corrects her and says that there are still ninja and to not forget the break-in in Curio's museum. Tiff asks if he thought the thief was indeed a ninja, to which Meta Knight explains that the ninja were honorable Star Warriors, not thieves, and that he battled alongside many of them against Nightmare. As we enter into a flashback, as we see their renowned skills fighting monsters, Tiff asks if he really thinks ninja are still around, to which Meta Knight says there is at least one still around. Returning to the flashback, we see Meta Knight attacked by one of the ninja who betrayed the Star Warriors and his kind to work for Nightmare Enterprises, riding a giant silver dragon. This is none other than the villainous Yamikage. This egg-shaped ninja with sunken-in evil red eyes wears black ninja robes, has a brown bony tail, and wields a katana. plus many other ninja weaponry. In the Japanese original, he's voiced by Ishini Ihiba, who would voice another minor Kirby antagonist in the future episode, that being Mashur Gohan. But he's most well known for playing Jin Kazama from Tenkin. He's fine if slightly forgettable. However, his English voice actor, Eric Stewart, just does a far better job. If I'm being honest, it's kind of funny that he also voices Meta Knight, so at points he's talking to himself. It's actually pretty good, though he does make it quite distinct from Meta Knight, as it lacks the Spanish accent. Overall, Yamakage here is a good villain, though he has some wasted potential that we'll see later. Also, his name literally means, in Japanese, dark shadow.
The shadow knows.
This conversation is cut short when we see Escargoon trying to stick to the castle's walls with a pair of plungers, only to fail and fall to the ground, while Diddy laughs at his expense. We cut to Tough and the others practicing throwing shuriken, and let's just say Kirby is about on the same level as a stormtrooper when it comes to accuracy. Tough says they'll never be ninja this way, and says that the scroll could teach them to be real ninja. Spikehead points out that DDD stole the scroll, to which Tough says they'll take it back. We then cut to Tough and Kirby sneaking around the castle's hallways. They sneak into the room where the scroll is held and see Escargoon passed out, napping next to it. Tough reminds Kirby to be quiet, and he grabs the scroll in what is initially a successful theft. Kirby notices something, to which Tough brushes him off at first. Undeterred, Kirby turns on the flashlight, and after a bit, the pair spot the mysterious ninja, who is not Yamakange. Tough yells out they found a real ninja, and since this seems like the best opportunity, let us introduce this character of the week now. This is Benekage, a small little ninja with a dark crimson ninja robe and oddly human flesh colored skin, plus prominent eyebrows and rosy cheeks. He's voiced in the Japanese original by Kumiko Watanabe, who also voiced Sergeant Kero and prominently works with Sigma 7. She's fine, though again, a bit forgettable. In the English dub, he's voiced by Andrew Rannells, who is most famous for the 2011 Broadway musical, The Book of Mormon, and he does a good job giving off a determined youngling air of confidence slash self-doubt. Overall, a good job and a memorable character. Interestingly, his name in Japan means the Crimson Shadow.
The shadow knows.
Back to the plot, Tough's exuberant yelling wakes Escargoon up, and he goes outside and catches the pair nabbing the scroll. He tries to get it back, but Tough keeps it away, while Tiff, King, DDD, Fololo, and Fala all converge on them because they also woke up. DDD demands an answer and asks why they have his scroll. Tough tries to explain he saw the actual ninja. Skeptical, the king says Tough is lying. The kid, however, remains resolute and says the ninja must have run off. Tiff says she didn't see him run away, and neither did the king, prompting Tough to say he must still be in this very room. They look around and, well, they look up and see him. Benekage, losing his grip, falls down and in the confusion grabs the scroll. The others chase after him and he throws a smoke bomb. DDD sets off an alarm for a ninja alert as large lamps are turned on and guards look for him. We see Benekage enter the village trying to escape, only to be temporarily paused by Chief Bookums. Benekage leaps over him and continues to try and escape, but is cornered by some of the town folks, now dressed up in ninja garb, who then pelt him with tons of fake wooden shurikens, instead of, tackling the guy. Unsurprisingly, the little ninja smoke bombs away and escapes. In the Japanese original, after he does so, there is a wide sweep across the town before we see that he has escaped and is hiding in the tree. The English dub removed this camera pan. On one hand, it does reduce the impact of him disappearing, but also gets the episode moving, so it's kind of a negative or neutral change. Looking down, Benekage is utterly baffled by all the people running around, pretending to be ninja. Sadly, the branch he is standing on breaks, and he's left hanging just as Tiff, Tuff, and Kirby are standing beneath the tree, and they heard the branch break. The branch he's holding on to.
Did you hear that? He's gotta be around here someplace.
He tells them to back off, or they'll have to face a real ninja, and he pulls out some real shurikens. Tiff is scared, but Tuff is not scared. And so, Benekage throws the shuriken and, well, he misses terribly. Angry, he throws several more, and they all miss. About as bad as Kirby. In the Japanese original, Tiff and Tuff say his throwing skills are as bad as Kirby's, which is a fair description. In the English dub, they're even harsher, with Tuff saying his skills are even worse than Kirby, and that his shurikens are made of plastic. Which, it's kind of weird because they actually clearly sound like they are made out of metal, so that was probably a bit of an overcorrection for kids. This causes the wary Benekage to have a nervous breakdown, and he starts sobbing his eyes out. We then cut to him looking at the scroll as we see him explaining that the secret scroll is actually a report card and not a bunch of ninja secrets. He says that he was totally hopeless and got red triangles in every class, which are an actual grade in Japan, interestingly enough. Apparently, someone took his scroll and it eventually arrived in Capitan, and he came here to get it so that no one would see his shame. Ever the optimist, Tuff offers to help teach Benekage to become a better ninja, with Kirby being ever eager to help. We then cut to the next day as we see Benekage and Kirby throwing shurikens at a target, with encouragement from Tuff and Tiff, and let's just say they're absolute garbage. With Kirby even managed to hit himself with his own shuriken. Like, can you get any worse? Benekage says that no beginner will beat him, while Tuff says it's hopeless, while Tiff is more optimistic. We then cut to some reused footage while DDD orders someone from Nightmare Enterprises to help him get the scroll back. And it turns out to be none other than Yamakage himself. DDD welcomes him and says that he has a job for him. The gruff Yamakage asks what it is, to which the king says he needs him to steal back something. Interestingly, he actually refuses at first, saying he is not a thief, but the mention of it being a ninja scroll changes his mind. We cut back to Kirby and Benakage still training and still being absolute garbage. Tiff says that they have improved a little bit, but Tough says they're still yet to hit the target when suddenly a shuriken does hit the target. The two run over to congratulate Benakage and Kirby and ask who hit the target, to which the nervous kid says neither. Didi laughs, indicating his presence, as he and Yamakage enter the scene. Tiff says the dark shadow looks like a real ninja, while Didi demands they return the scroll now. Tough tries to explain that it's not actually a real scroll, but Yamakage is undeterred and demands he hands it over. Tough refuses, and so Yamakage lunges to take it. Benakage takes the scroll and runs, but Yamakage is faster and easily catches up with the young ninja. Yamakage tells the young ninja to not challenge him, but Benakage says he's a ninja too, and the two prepare to fight. Tiff is concerned, and Folo and Fala enter the scene.
Binge in the dark
Very
armor!
abruptly
We found out that he works for Nightmare Enterprises! Yeah, he betrayed the Star Warriors! He's a traitor!
The pair of ninja fight, which is shortened slightly in the English dub. Yamakage, however, hears some familiar Spanish guitar and throws a kunai at Meta Knight, who had entered the scene. He then knocks the scroll out of Benakage's hand, and the king grabs it. And here we see the final scene change of the episode, as 4Kids felt it necessary to add a commercial break here before Yamakage could end the fight. Yamakage throws a kunai to finish off the young ninja, but Kirby, under Tiff's instruction, inhales it to save the little ninja's life and becomes... So this is Ninja Kirby, first seen in Kirby Superstar, released on January 23rd, 1997, and this is its one and only appearance in the entire anime, making it one of only 4 abilities to have a one-shot appearance. In terms of appearance, I think this is probably the best design Ninja has ever had overall. In Superstar/Superstar Ultra, Ninja Kirby was essentially a recolor of Stone with a maroon helmet, a purple plume, and purple skin. And while that purple skin might have been interesting to see in the anime, the truth is that completely unaltered, it would have basically looked like a recolor of Stone. The anime modifies his design slightly, just enough so that it makes it distinct, but not enough to ruin the look. A cape replaces the light armor extending from the back of the helmet, and the star emblem here is a green jewel. It's just such a superior design, not only to the original, but also to the current ninja design, which is generic as heck and looks like something literally straight out of Naruto. I don't know, just something about this sort of middling design I think captured the best of both worlds, and really should be used in future games if we're being honest. I mean, heck, even Rock has lost that original samurai-esque helmet, so there's no excuse not to bring it back for Ninja. Ninja, despite only appearing in one episode, makes quite the mark. Back to the plot, Meta Knight points out the obvious, as Kirby and Yamakage fight. Despite initially being put on the back foot, Kirby starts turning the tide against Yamakage, and the two trade blows as the two of them appear to be relatively equally matched. The pair throw at each other shurikens, but they cancel each other out because they hit each other. Yamakage, after deflecting another attack, utilizes a sort of wind attack, which in the Japanese original he calls out as being the Funjuro Jujitsu, or translated, the attack of the wind god. The English dub removes this, and honestly, it's fine. In either case, Kirby, due to his small stature, is greatly blown away by this sudden attack, and Yamakage, in a rather graphic manner, stabs Kirby with his katana, much to Tiff's absolute fear, but it turns out to be a doppelganger as a blast of light temporarily blinds this evil ninja. And what is the final script change of the episode? This is referred to as by Banakage as a substitution jujitsu, while in the English dub it's called teleportation, an advanced ninja technique. And if you're confused as to if ninja actually had these abilities, don't feel bad, as Yamakage is also clearly baffled. Kirby then phases behind him and grabs him and does a ninja pile driver up to 30 feet in the air, no doubt giving the villainous ninja some brain injuries, as Tiff, Tuff, Fololo, Falala, and Meta Knight all cheer on Kirby's victory. Yamakage, not dead, but realizing he's lost, gets up and says that one day he'll have his revenge. I'm sure they're going to follow that up later, I'm sure. Didi gloats about having the scroll, calls Yamakage a coward, and then drives off himself. Bit of a hypocrite, much. Also, I'm sure we're going to follow up with Didi having that scroll. We then cut to Yamakage running through the forest, saying he saw Meta Knight and that he and Kirby must be the last Star Warriors, and saying that he finally found them. And he says that he shall return to destroy them someday. Ooh boy! This foreshadowing clearly means that he's going to come back, especially considering he's quite the iconic villain, am I right? Meta Knight then frees himself from the thing that was thrown at him and says Yamakage will one day potentially return, and Kirby won't have the element of surprise that time, and they must train him for that day, as Kirby just stares off looking into the sky. Man, they're really hyping up the fact that Yamakage will return. Surely this is a plot point in a future episode. We then cut to a bridge over a river on the edge of Cappytown during a beautiful sunset. There, the group say goodbye to Benakage. Then, the young ninja says that he was inspired by Kirby and decides to return to ninja school and try again, this time training / working even harder and saying that he may become a great ninja. Tiff says he is now finally able to forget his old report card and move forward with his life, and Benakage, laughing, agrees. He then offers to show them a cool ninja exit, to which the group encourage him, and so he leaps into the air and disappears in a puff of smoke. Tuff says he's better already, but the triumphant mood is dampened a bit when Benakage lands in the water of the river. Tiff asks if he needs help, but Benakage says swimming is his next class and that he's fine, and so he drifts off as the episode ends, once again with Kirby leaping onto the air. I like how the cutout moves like a sort of shuriken flying through the air before closing. It's a nice little touch to end the episode on. Now, as always, let's go over the positives, negatives, and my final thoughts. Firstly, when it comes to the usage of ninja in the episode, as we all know that especially during the late 90s and early 2000s, there was a large ninja craze, no doubt fueled by the infamous Naruto. And because of this, ninja were a very big part of culture, at least in the United States, for a time period, and still lingers on to this day with franchises such as the much beloved Ninjago that I've made several videos about that you should totally check out. And as a whole, I would say that looking at a wider view, that this episode was, kind of above average. Here, in this case, most of the things depicted by Ninja in this episode are relatively accurate. I mean, yeah, sure, the colors might be a little off, but at the end of the day, dark maroon and black are not exactly the most inappropriate designs for Ninja. And sure, the teleportation and wind attacks and pile drivers, they aren't exactly maybe the most realistic of concepts, but I think that they fall more in line with the general idea of a ninja than, some guy in a bright orange um, suit summoning a giant fox or something. And I mean, this does come off a bit as well in a more respectful manner than, say, that of Naruto. Also, this episode has a sort of a meta commentary on the wider obsession with the whole superficial aspects of ninjutsu. I mean, every one of the Capitan members is dressed like a ninja, even when they're clearly not aware of what's going on. I mean, think about it. Even the best of these couldn't handle Benakage. Just goes to show that there was just a disconnect. Ninja Kirby was also great. Being one of the 4 one-off copy abilities, despite his limited appearance in the anime, he makes a really big impact. And yes, while some of the abilities shown in this episode are not from the games, they still fit the themes and like the control schemes of Ninja from the game. Also, the fighting choreography was just top of the line. It really felt like Yamakage, Kirby, and Benakage were really giving it their all. Because it wasn't as like over the top as some of the monster fights. It was really grounded. Benakage also is a great guest character of the week. I found that his character was a really well done one, and that he kind of grew over the episode from being very wanting to bury the past before he sort of had this Kylo Ren of burn the past. But now he seemed to have embraced it and moved on with his life and is genuinely trying to improve himself. It has been said that he's a homage to the main character of Naruto, but I think that's rather vapid, as I think he follows a far older archetype, that being a hopeful student who has a crisis of faith but overcomes said faith. It's a far more complex and older theme than something that just Naruto invented. But perhaps the most impactful of all the new things in this episode was the evil ninja Yamakage, who is actually not a demon beast. Rather, to say that he's more like a traitorous mercenary. This means that he has a much more nuanced position and is a far more deep character. For example, instead of just doing the king's orders, like some other monsters, he at first refuses the king's request to steal like a lowly thief, implying that he has a sense of honor. He also gives the kids and Benakage a chance to give him the scroll without a fight, again a sense of honor. And he's not a blind monster. That, in fact, is actually very competent compared to either King Dedede, Escargoon, or the other monsters of the week in the series. However, for as good as he is, there is a big issue with him that causes a big flaw with the episode as a whole. That being this. Considering all that I've said about him and the cliffhanger of this episode, surely he must return, right? You're asking me? What if I told you he never returns?
What?
Yes, not counting a short cameo as a figurine in episode 52 Snack Attack, Part 1. which I would say doesn't really count as it's more of a cameo and not really Yamakage himself. Yamakage never returns. Now, last time I talked about wasted potential, and someone in the comments section said that that's more of an implication, and that because the episode as a whole and this anime is episodic, that it's fine. And while I disagree, I can understand that point of view. However, I think that this episode's wasted potential is frankly far worse. It's worse because it's outright stated by Yamakage himself that he will have his revenge twice, and heavily implied by Meta Knight that while yes, Kirby won now, Yamakage could return. And the show does have characters that return for multiple episodes. For example, Knuckle Joe and another character we'll get to later. It just in general seems kind of weird that they never did any follow up with him, especially considering that he was one of the better villains, if we're being honest. And it just kind of leaves this sort of sour taste of what is overall an actually good episode. Also, another slightly less important slash impactful part was that DDD in the end actually got the scroll and was gonna teach the Waddle Dees how to be some sort of ninja, and that was never followed up on. But I guess that's more forgivable. But again, that is a flaw that some people point out, and I can actually agree there. Overall, for my final thoughts, I really liked the episode. I thought it was much better than the last one and a much more interesting plot. The characters that were introduced were really good, but the wasted potential of the ending was just so much worse. And yes, while I thought that the ending involving Benekage was cute, it just didn't make up for it. So unfortunately, I have to rank it on about the same level as the previous episode, because while it is a better episode overall, the wasted potential of the ending was just a lot worse, so it kind of evens out in a way. I'm the Dark Master, and join me next time on the Kirby Right Back at Ya Retrospective, and have a wonderful day.